and welcome to the Twin Mask training video. It's a massive world and I know there's a lot to take in, but don't worry, you don't have to know it all on your very first day. But to help, here's a section of things that you need to know. We're going to talk about character creation, the world, expectations, cultures and religion, combat, magic, commerce, and logistics. To build and improve your character, you need character points and incentive points. Character points are earned each game you play and used to upgrade skills and attributes. Incentive points are earned by doing various things to help game out of character and can be converted into character points. 2 things to start, you need background and your race. Some backgrounds that we recommend are the memory flaws. It allows your character to maybe not know what's going on in the world, and that's okay. Also, you have 3 games to figure out how you want to redo or change up your character, just so you have a little bit of flexibility.
So here are some of the basics. You're in the world of Alderun, you're in the nation of Solace, and you're dead. This game is fully immersive, so you'll be in character for a full weekend, with a few out-of-character areas that would be listed in the rulebook. Make sure you play a character that you're going to enjoy. This world has many lighthearted themes, but it's important to remember that there are some darker ones. Death, necromancy, black magic. This world is a dark fantasy, and it may not be for everybody.
Something that you should think about when creating your character is who they are and where they are from. We have various different races to choose from, such as Offendal, demon-blooded, fey-blooded, even humans. And where are they from? We have tons of different cultures to choose from. You'll meet various NPCs in-game, and depending on your culture or your race, you'll have a unique interaction with them, so pick something that interests you. Twin Mask has various religions that you can choose from. You don't have to pick a religion, but if you want to experience additional storylines, you definitely can. When starting out, you won't know everything about the game. There's a lot to remember in regards to culture, races, and even the history of the game, but that is absolutely okay, and you will find out through your own experience.
Twin Mask is a combat-oriented game. Whether you build your character to be a fighter or not be a fighter, you will always be around combat at some point or another. We are also a hit point-based game, which means that you will have hit points that you need to keep track of, but you might also have armor if you have built your character that way. We have a very rich combat system that allows you to customize your character as you want, whether it is fighting with a sword, fighting with magic, or somewhere in between. You don't have to know all of the rules in regards to starting to play in the game, but we will go over a lot of the basics here. As a Lettuce Touch system, we have a few hit zones that are not permitted whatsoever. No headshots, no groin shots, no hand shots. We also have a few different styles in regards to fighting that you should avoid. There is no stabbing. You should not do blow-throughs, which is when you take your swing and go all the way through. As soon as you touch, pull your hand back. No grappling. We also have a rule about no charging. Some abilities will require callouts.
Stealth it!
This goes into greater detail within the book, but as an example, we have Massive, which if you are hit by this,
Massive!
you have to take 3 steps backwards. Or Disarm. If you are hit by this, even if you block it, you have to drop your weapon. To keep it simple, we have what we call the rule of 3. What this means is that everything, for the most part, is done in 3s. 3-step back, 3-minute counters, 3-second counters. We are a live-action roleplay game. As such, we want you to roleplay that you have been injured. If you take a hit, show that you've taken a hit. Your arm gets broken, roleplay that your arm is broken. If you get hit, take 1 damage, unless you hear them call out otherwise, like 2 or 3. There are certain skills to avoid damage, such as dodge, that are more emphasized within the rulebook. Once you hit 0 HP, you enter a bleed out counter, which means that you can no longer remain standing. You can crawl and you can speak quietly. After 3 minutes, you enter your death counter. If you are in your death counter for 3 minutes and no one resurrects you, you then turn to mist and you go to Logi. Within your bleed out timer, you can be healed. If you have entered death count, you can no longer be healed, you can only be resurrected. We do have rules for those who cannot participate in combat, known as non-coms. You should check the rulebook for more details involved in this. But ultimately, you will still be around combat, but no one will be hitting you with a weapon. You may still take damage though. If you see someone with an orange headband on their head, they are a non-com. You should not be hitting them with your weapon, but you should still be role-playing out damage to them and calling shots on them, but never touch them with your weapon.
Ranged attacks are a big part of combat at Twin Mask. Here are some things to know about archery. First, make sure to only shoot an arrow if your target is 10 feet away or more. Make sure to never catch arrows from the air or try to hit them from the air with your weapon. Be careful not to step on arrows, and also make sure that your arrows are not broken before firing them again. And lastly, make sure to never hit someone's bow or use your bow to block. There are different types of damage in Twin Mask. If you hit with one, you would call the attribute along with the damage.
Free fire!
These may have different effects depending on who or what you hit them with. There are out-of-character calls that are important to know. The first one is time freeze.
Time freeze!
If you hear time freeze, stop what you're doing, close your eyes, and cover your ears or hum. Do not continue until you hear game on. The second is hold, which is usually when someone is in distress.
Hold!
If you hear hold, stop what you're doing, take a knee, and put your weapon on your head. Do not continue until you hear game on. Another one to know is medic.
Medic!
Medic is only used to call for a real-life medic, so make sure to not use medic or hold in your in-game language. For more out-of-character calls, be sure to check the rulebook.
When you come into the world of Adarune, you might try to learn and maybe one day master some of the arts of magic. Within each magical art, there are 4 different levels of power, from apprentice to journeyman to master, all the way up to grandmaster. The way you learn and master new magics is from the scrolls that you can acquire. You'll come in with a few if you start as a spellcasting character, but you'll need to find other ones to expand your repertoire, and you can get those from merchants, you can get those maybe on a quest, you can try to copy them from your fellow returned. It gives you a lot of different options for ways to expand your powers. Most people will start as an apprentice in their chosen magical art, and to get more powerful, you'll need to get training from a fellow player of that higher level. And this is a fantastic opportunity for complicated, fun role-playing, for learning the deeper lore of your magical art, and for just making friends. If you're a spellcaster, you'll have a pool of mana that refreshes at dawn and dusk, and every spell you cast is going to drain some of that pool. The different magical arts all have different ways to contribute to combat. Sometimes as a sorcerer, you'll be throwing a spell packet, it's a bit like a beanbag, to try to deal magical damage to foes at a distance. Or as a channeler, maybe you're going to heal people who have fallen in battle. Some spells you can use gestures to point at people and damage them that way. Some schools have a lot of spells that maybe don't focus quite as much on combat. For instance, divination, you can learn a lot of information about what kind of threats you might be facing in the future, or just general information. Or warding, you can use to paint sigils on people's skin to protect them ahead of time. As you play, sometimes you'll find magical items or even artifacts, some of modest power, but some of a game-changing nature, and it's extremely exciting to be able to interact with them. When you first come into game, it's possible you won't know much at all about the different spells and the different abilities that you might have as a spellcaster, and that's okay. It provides a lot of opportunity for learning about the different scrolls and the different powers that are available to different spellcasters in this wonderful game.
Some characters try not to get their hands dirty in combat, preferring instead commerce and politics. Commerce is a big part of this world. You will buy and sell things from other players and from NPC merchants who come through to peddle their wares. There is in-game money that you will use to buy all kinds of things, whether it's scrolls as a wizard, or potions to go into combat, or anything in between. You can make money either through doing jobs, crafts you do for other players, services to the town, and if you get enough money to rub together, maybe you hire someone else to do a job you need. Really think about the job. What are you good at? What do you want to give back to this world? Do you want to help make rune stones to defend people in combat? Do you want to craft the finest weapons for those who protect the town? Or do you see beauty as your calling? Pick a profession, become a master at it. That is where real riches lie. Another important resource that you must hoard to have power here is influence. There are NPCs in higher positions than you or I. If you can send a letter with the right favor called in to a member of royalty, a military leader, you can get a lot done. Important items will get tagged. The tag will tell you what the item does, how long it lasts, how many uses you can get from it. If you are buying, trading, or even just giving away an item, you have to give away the tag too.
Care of yourself and others is a very important part of Twin Mask. You're responsible for your food, water, lodgings, and to check in with yourself to make sure everything's feeling okay. You need to be prepared for extreme temperatures in both the heat and the cold. So make sure you bring what you need to cope with those elements. Twin Mask is a very physically intensive sport. Even if you're not heavily involved in combat, you will be walking around a lot in the heat and the dust. So you need to make sure that you're checking in and listening to what your body needs. Fire on site is limited. You can only use propane and it has to be approved by site before you bring it on. There is no combat allowed anywhere near the fire, and it has to be turned off immediately when not being used or if you intend to leave. Part of taking care of others is asking for consent for physical roleplay, and that's for anything outside of the norm, like pushing, kicking, grappling, or or even other physical touch that might be outside of normal roleplay. If you're not sure, ask for consent. Theft exists in Twin Mask, but you can't steal just anything you want. You can only steal tagged items or items with a ribbon on it. And when you do steal something, you do need to make sure you report it to logistics.
There are a few things you want to do when you first get to site. One of the most basic is to set up your tent. After that, you need to get your character sheet, which you can check in with the logistics. At the end of the game, you'll want to hand in that character sheet, and you'll want to mark it with whatever updates you want to spend your character points on. If you need to update your character sheet between games, send an email, characters@twinmask.com. Every game is part of check-in. You'll also have something called weapons check, which is where we make sure that your weapons follow all the criteria listed in the rulebook. And regardless as weapons age, you'll want to get them checked every game. Most of the staff that you encounter are volunteers, so be good to them and they will be good to you. And if you ever want to get more involved with the game, we are always looking for more staff and advocates to help out and make things better. What makes the game so wonderful is that we're all a part of it. It's a living, breathing environment, and together, we make the game what it is. So I'm excited to have you here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can bring to the table.
Thanks for watching.
And come and join us. Even though the world seems a little overwhelming, you will learn as you play.
Aye, it is a very big game, but it's also forgiving. Remember, you have your first 3 games to change your character as you wish.
And always remember the rule of 3 while playing. Please check out the rulebook online and come join us and have lots of fun.
Welcome to Twin Mask.